Yeah, 7'6" slim in the bed. You want to debate? My team harder than yours. We come harder. Yeah, no competition like no I in my team. No, are they wishful thinking or is it a nice dream? And we can see them coming, no need for high beam. Decision making, change a player, just do the right thing. Wasn't with me in the gym, so how can you contest? On the hilltop and ran many miles to be the best. Don't know what team I'm on, but I'm like, how you see my chest?
Hey, what up, Dope Sports World? My name is Winter McCullough, aka VR Me, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Sideline Sizzle podcast. Hey, I'm just another sports junkie, just like the rest of y'all, here to drop some knowledge of y'all, get some knowledge from y'all, and just talk some sports. All right, now this show will be dominated by 4 segments. Flashpoint Hero of the Day, where we'll take a look at some unsung heroes of the past, or maybe even some teams of the past that don't get the recognition they deserve, shed some light on them, give them some flowers, and kind of relive the glory days. There's another segment called Hit 'em Up, where I'm going to give you the straight dope on a particular sports topic. Nothing too elaborate. I'm going to pull up on you and drop this knowledge off and leave it like that. That's why it's called Hit 'em Up. Then there's the Power Ranking segment, where I'll give you my power rankings for the NBA and the NFL. I'll be able to talk about the teams and why they're in the position they're in. And then the bulk of the show will be dominated by a segment called Freeway, where I will hop on topics, different topics in sports, particularly the teams that I follow and watch, which are the Pistons, the Buccaneers. I'm Team LeBron, so the Lakers, and I'm Team Coach Prime, so the Bucks. I will also hop on controversial topics like Seattle's decision not to hand Marshawn Lynch the ball in that Super Bowl, as well as the Jordan-LeBron debate. All right, let's get into it.
Uniform, I'm having it proudly way I'm dressed. The more I'm getting better, me more you getting worse. And thinking we competing, but nah, this ain't first. Keep your emotions in, cause this loss, it might hurt, bro. Of course we came to win, got the squares out our circle. They passed me the rock, I got us running up the scope. I pass it to my partner, he gon' run it up some more. Training solo dolo, even when on one accord. Who y'all think the hardest in this litty world of sport? Win the championship and why not go to Disneyland? We can change your plans like we can go and spend some band.
All right, so we're going to start with Flashpoint Hero of the Day, and we're going to take a trip down memory lane to the early 2000s to a guy who was huge for some of those New England Super Bowls in those early 2000s at 5'10", 196 pounds. So no, I'm not talking about Tom Brady. I'm talking about Troy Brown. Troy Brown was a decorated wide receiver for the New England Patriots. He was a punt returner as well. He had 6,366 receiver yards, 31 receiver touchdowns, 3 touchdowns on punt return, and he's a 3-time Super Bowl champ. He could play all over the field as a wide receiver, slot, outside, inside, it didn't matter. A lot of the big plays that were made to win those Super Bowl championships in the early 2000s were made by Troy Brown, which speaks to his clutchness. Troy Brown was one of those guys where you'll hear somebody say he's just a football player. That's who Troy Brown was. One reason why I wanted to highlight Troy Brown is because there's a real popular topic in sports right now, and that is, can Travis Hunter for the Colorado Buffaloes play both ways in the NFL like he's playing right now in college? Based on Troy Brown, yes, he can. For the most part, Troy Brown was a full-time wide receiver. However, he played corner as well. In the sub packages mainly, in which in the early 2000s, sub packages were not used as much. Teams mostly stayed in their base package for the most part. There might have been a few teams like the Buccaneers who used a lot of nickel, but for the most part, teams stayed in their base packages. So for New England to go to a sub package and Troy Brown to come in, it was almost like they had a special package for him, so to speak. But there was some times where he started full-time at corner. He even started full-time at corner in a particular season. So he did play both ways. So I'm not sure why we're not hearing his name mentioned when we're talking about Travis Hunter, because a lot of people in media or period say that in today's NFL, you can't play both ways. However, Troy Brown and Bill Belichick defy those odds. So To me, it's going to depend on the coach that he goes to. If he goes to a coach like Bill Belichick, then yeah, Bill Belichick deploy him like that. But if he goes to a coach like Bruce Arians is not going to let one of his starting wide receivers play on the other side of the ball. So it's all going to go to the it's all going to be about the coach that he goes to. Troy Brown is the flashpoint hero of the day, and I got a gem for y'all waiting to hit him up today.
I'm a team player, so a loser's not a fan. The holiday season, watching sports with my fans. No competition like no I in my team. Are they wishful thinking or is it a nice dream? And we can see them coming, no need for high beam. Decision making, change a player, just do the right thing. Wasn't with me in the gym, so how can you contest? Walk the hilltop and ran many miles to be the.
All right, so for today's Hit 'em Up, I want to start with the request. I need to talk to somebody who is close to the South Carolina women's Gamecocks basketball program to find out what is going on with MiLaysia Fulwiley. This girl is electric, one of my favorite basketball players to watch, period. Magic Johnson said, and I quote, "I'm watching a women's basketball game between South Carolina and Notre Dame right now, and I just saw the best move in all of basketball, including the pros like LeBron, Steph, KD, Victor, and Jokic. Everyone must see the coast-to-coast behind-the-back move by freshman guard MiLaysia Fulwiley from South Carolina. Wow," end quote. I think Magic might have hyped her up a little bit. I mean, did you see LeBron's chase-down block on Iguodala in the finals? Victor Wembanyama shot a three and got his own putback dunk. So he could be 100% genuine. When you think about Magic's game, it's all about, flashy ball handling, passing, and finishing on a fast break. And that's what that play was that he was talking about. So he could have been genuine. Nonetheless, the play was impressive. You should go check it out. However, Fulwiley comes off the bench for South Carolina, which is not a knock because the South Carolina women's basketball team reminds me of those 90s Tar Heels teams that was full of depth. So it's not a knock to say that you come off the bench on that team and you're kind of young. But she is still electric. When you put on the tape, she is going to stand out. Even in the title game against Iowa. The Gamecocks was late to the party. When you go back and watch that game, like Iowa jumped on them early. Until they put Fulwiley in the game. And she just changed the game with her scoring and energy. More so her energy, because she didn't have a high scoring total. However, that stretch where they put her in the first quarter, she got them a spark with her scoring. And her energy, it completely changed the trajectory of the game. Because South Carolina, after that point, the South Carolina woman was able to go back and forth. And then they was able to grab hold of the game and winning, of course. Yeah, she is still not starting. Barely even playing. She only got 3 minutes and the Gamecocks lost to UCLA. And the starter in front of her in that same game only had 3 points. I have a lot of respect for Dawn Staley, so I'm not going to challenge her judgment. But coaches can be stubborn at times. It was Michael Jordan who said that the only person who could guard him was his head coach coming out of college. And it seems like this is going to be the case for Fulwiley. There are articles out there where Staley is talking about Fulwiley's electric play get her in trouble at times. And I'm reading between the lines here, but it seems like Fulwiley might be trying some of her M1 stuff on the court, and it might lead to turnovers or might disrupt what Dawn Staley is trying to do as a head coach. But, there's this saying out there where you got to sacrifice for team, and I get that. I'm all for that. And I'm pretty sure some of the best players ever to play the game all sacrificed for the teams they were on. However, sometimes you get a talent that is bigger than team and you got to let them rock out to be who they are. There's times where you're that talented that you're going to be able to carry the load with what you got going on. There's times where it's not going to work out. That's the give and take. Let's take Steph for a minute. Steve Kerr be going crazy behind some of the shots this dude be taking sometimes. But what will happen if Steve Kerr pull the reins back on Steph Curry? He's not going to be Steph. Steph is a tough shot maker, which means he got to take the shots. You got to let my girl cook, man. I think MiLaysia Fulwiley has the talent to be just as good, if not better, than Caitlin Clark. I don't mean no disrespect when I say this. MiLaysia Fulwiley, don't let your coach change your game. There was 2 basketball players that went to the same high school I went to. They went there way before I went there. However, they both played on the same team. Ricky Moore, who went to UConn, and William Avery, who went to Duke. Now, William Avery made the league. Ricky Moore didn't. And it don't discredit who he is as a basketball player because he's had a great basketball career. I believe he's still in coaching right now. However, coming out of high school, everybody that I talked to that came up around those guys, including their head coach, said that Ricky Moore was the better player. However, Bill Calhoun turned him into a specialist. And Coach K let William Avery rock out. I remember the head coach telling me that Coach K was crying when William Avery decided to leave because he wanted him to continue to rock out and Duke, but I'm pretty sure he understood what was going on. But I think that's good. That's the case with this Fulwiley in South Carolina situation, because there's no denying the talent. But the only reason why I could see why she's not playing is because of the head coach, which is a shame to me. Going back to the Caitlin Clark thing, I feel that Caitlin has her skills are more complete right now. She's more of a dominant player than Fulwiley. However, Fulwiley bag is bigger, and once she is more explosive. Once she refines her bag, I feel she's going to be just as good, if not better, than Caitlin Clark. I feel that what her style of play is going to capture the minds of basketball and sports fans worldwide, and it's going to help push this women's basketball popularity to a whole nother level. And I don't want that to be disrupted. I was looking forward to watching some of South Carolina's games this year, but when Fulwiley ain't playing that same flair, they don't have that flair, because that's all Fulwiley right there. I just want the girl to rock out, man. Come on, dog. Get her on the floor. All right, so moving on to Freeway. First, we're going to talk about Coach Prime a little bit here and the Colorado Buffs. You know, Coach Prime was the first superstar that I saw blasted all over the TV. Coach Prime is my GOAT. I got Coach Prime, Jordan and Mayweather tied at 2, LeBron at 3, and it's a coincidence Sapp is at 4. He's on his coaching staff. I was an FSU fan, but because they turned Coach Prime down, I stopped following them. When Coach Prime was in Jackson, I followed Jackson State, and now I'm following the Buffs. But quick question, why are we expecting Coach Prime to have a winning program this early in his tenure at Colorado? Prime took over a team that was the laughingstock of college football. On top of that, Colorado was not a destination for college recruits, meaning talent was not trying to come there. No talent on a Colorado roster when he got there. And it was hard to get talent to come there, which means building this program up is going to be a process. He has to change the culture. He has to compromise for talent he really wants so that he could fill a roster and build a culture to get the talent that he really wants to come in. Having his son and Travis Hunter is a plus. Everybody knows that. There's also other guys that he knew from our coach at Truth Academy and Jackson State that came over as well that is helping him establish the culture. All right, but what happened after that? After that, he was able to get the number 1 cornerback in the nation to come to Colorado. The next year, he was able to get the number 1 offensive tackle to come to Colorado. So he's in there putting in the work. Record-wise, he turned a 1-win team into a 4-win team. And this year, they're going to a bowl game. This is what building a program looks like. Take Nick Saban for a minute. When he took over Alabama, Nick Saban won 7 games his first year, 12 games his second year, and then he won a national championship, undefeated in that third year. Yeah, there is an obvious difference in the win-loss category, but when there's smoke, there's fire. What's the smoke? Saban took over a team with a rich tradition. Yeah, the team that he took over was up and down. The year before he got there, they won 6 games, and the year before that, they won 10 games. Shows you the roller coaster that Alabama was on before Saban got there. On top of that, Saban went to the SEC pre-NIL during the BCS era where the SEC was king, meaning it was college recruits. I won't say it was easy, but college recruits was looking to go to the SEC, and then if they couldn't go there, they'll go somewhere else. That's kind of how it worked. I know like other schools have traditions where people from those states they just grew up watching those teams. They went there, but for the most part, it was easy to recruit in the SEC. That's where Saban went to. The fire is if Saban went to Colorado, the same time Coach Prime went to Colorado, you had the same record, maybe worse, because Saban is not down with this era of football. I'm not the only one who knows this. Anyone who was more than a casual fan of college football knows this. Yet they hold my dude Deion to another standard. Don't get me wrong. I know what's going on, but it's like Jay-Z said, he without sin shall cast the first stone. So y'all look in the mirror, double check y'all appearance. A lot of people got to realize Deion walks around like he's a winner because he is a winner. So you're not going to see him hide through the turbulence of losing, hang his head low. You're not going to turn on the press conferences and see the next game to see somebody who looks like a loser because Deion is a winner. The thing is, this thing is only going to get better. To be honest, the movement haven't even really started yet. This is just the beginning. Deion is just getting started, and y'all should be afraid of what he's going to do next. All right, let's transition to the Detroit Pistons, in which the Detroit Pistons have shown some improvement this season. You know, there's this content creator named That's Domo. That's Domo. Domo. It's D-O-M-O. That's his name. He said this when Monty Williams went to Detroit. He was on the Players' Choice panel. Go check them out. They talk basketball on YouTube. Pretty good. Not bad. He said that Monty Williams was a terrorist as a head coach. I didn't believe him based on what Monty Williams did in Phoenix, what he did with the Hornets when Chris Paul was young, and what he did at OKC as an assistant. That year, 2016, OKC started off that year strong. This is the year Golden State put them out in the Western Conference Finals, but OKC, they kind of fell off from who they were later on in that season, and it really was because Monty Williams had an issue, I believe it was with his wife, and he had to leave the bench, and you saw the drop-off in that team. So I always kind of respected Monty as a coach in that standpoint. So I didn't believe Domo, that's Domo, when he said it, but that's exactly what Monty Williams was for the Pistons, a terrorist. And he was a jump out boy. He robbed Tom Gore for $70 million. Talk about pulling a lick. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to vent too much about Monty, but Monty set this team back a year of their development. He discouraged Jay and Ivy. I mean, you got a guy in Killian Hayes who clearly cannot compete in the NBA, and you're starting him over superior athlete who is young and is trying to develop. Like, how do you discourage that? Like, it's so obvious. Like, if I could see it, you as a coach could see it. How are you starting Killian Hayes over Jaden Ivey, messing up this young guy's development? And it's clearly evident because JB Bickerstaff has come right in and Jaden Ivey is hooping. He hit a game winner the other night. So, yeah, Monty Williams was a terrorist. Because of him, you didn't know what you really had in Jalen Duren, because you don't know if the lack of development was because of Monty Williams or Jalen Duren itself. Now, Jalen Duren is another story. with Jalen Duren, it's like the only thing this dude knows how to do is run and jump for a dunk. And, handle the play that's right in front of him. His basketball instincts is not there as of yet. And basketball instincts, there's no guarantee that they're going to develop over time. The opposite is mostly true. It's good to have the instincts, you get in the gym and become a better athlete than it is to be an athlete and you lack instincts. You know what I'm saying? Those instincts don't always develop. And this dude needs to develop instincts. Why? Because, for one, this dude is built like God took a big muscle and just carved out Jalen Duren. Like, this dude is rock solid, pause. And he doesn't play like it. Like, he moves like he as big as me. Like, he moves like his feet is wrapped in concrete. And I'm sitting there watching like, why does he move like that? You know what I'm saying? The way this dude is built, he should be moving up and down the floor, causing havoc because of how he's running the floor. Lateral quickness, things of that nature. It's just not there. But here's the thing with Jalen Duren. When it's time to go get an alley-oop, when it's time to finish on a break, that's when you see the explosiveness and quickness, which means he can do it. He just is not doing it. I don't get it. It's frustrating because the dude is built like a monster, man. But he's just not hooping. This means he either don't know or he don't care. And that's scary. This brings me to my dude, Cade Cunningham, which I'm not going to too much focus on Cade's strengths. I'll save that for another podcast. I'm going to focus on what he needs to work on. With Cade and Ivy, Detroit got their backcourt of the future. They just signed Cade to a $224 million contract, meaning he is the franchise player, meaning they're going to need more from this guy, in which he's done a lot. He's shown he can be a franchise player. This is the thing. I think Cade started playing point guard in junior high school, right? And he's a big guard, which have its advantages in high school and college and somewhat in the NBA. And the NBA is a little different. Yeah, you could still see over the defense, but the NBA is bigger as a whole, bigger and smarter as a whole. So a lot of those advantages that you had in high school and college with your size is not going to be the same way in the NBA. I'm bringing up when he started playing point guard and the size advantage for a reason. There are things that you need a lead guard to do that Cade is not doing or not doing yet. A few examples. A lead guard can see when the trap is coming and manipulate the trap so it won't collapse on him. The player that's coming to trap will reset and go back to his man. Cade is not doing that yet. Sometimes he'll see the trap coming and he'll let the trap collapse on him and try to make a pass out of it and get himself in trouble. A lead guard knows how to make the necessary pass. Cade doesn't make the necessary pass, even with the effort. Like when you see a Chris Paul or a Stephen Curry or some of these league guards, even LeBron, like when they pass, you can see their body putting the effort to make sure the pass have the right touch, the right power. A lot of times, Cade passes is nonchalant and it's easy for it. It causes a lot of turnovers. He has to pick it up in that department. I'm bringing that up to say it's important that he plays with a lead guard right now while he's developing his guard skills. Because it's just with who he is as a player and not having a lead guard, it can impact your confidence. Which brings me to his leadership. Cade plays with a lack of energy a lot. Sometimes you see him, a bad play happens and he shrugs his shoulders. Even his game is, he plays at this particular pace and he doesn't push the tempo a lot and it impacts the energy on the floor. And because you're the leader, everybody looks at the leader. It's like, Jay-Z said, once your tag lame in the game is follow the leader. So when your energy drop, the team energy drop. You know what I'm saying? So he has to pick it up on that. He's really just getting into a winning culture. I feel that the coaching staff that he has now will address these issues. I just hope they get addressed, because I think that's going to determine between him going from a star to a superstar. To put it simple, Cade should be utilized like James Harden was utilized when he first went to Houston. James Harden played with Ty Lawson, Jeremy Lin, Pat Bev, somebody who a legit point guard, and he was able to rock out. You could pick your spots from that point. The pressure won't be on you as much, and I think it'll be beneficial for his development for him to play with a lead guard right now.
No competition like no I in my team. No, all they wishful thinking, or is it a nice dream? And we can see him coming, no need for high beam. Decision making, change a player, just do the right thing.
All right, so it's now time for the power rankings, and just a little bit on my power rankings. I'm doing the NFL and the NBA power rankings. For the NFL, for both power rankings, they'll be updated weekly, and both power rankings trajectory on where you're headed is a big factor. For the NFL, the quarterback, who you got playing quarterback, is a big factor. How your team is as a whole is a big factor. For the NBA, who you have with your team is a big factor. And your identity, chemistry, that's going to play a role. But again, trajectory, the winning. Where's the winning coming from? How are you winning? And the consistency is a lot of the determining factor in my power rankings. So I'll put the NFL power rankings up for you. Few things. At number 19, we got the 49ers. And I just wanted to highlight the 49ers and Bengals, who I have at 22. The 49ers and the Bengals are in like a lose now, win later situation, so to speak. Their losing is circumstantial. A lot of injuries, chemistry issues, things of that nature are the reason why they're losing. They're not devoid of talent. These teams are full with talent. One has one of the best quarterbacks in the league. The other, and that's in the Bengals, Joe Burrow. The other, the 49ers have talent across the board. Circumstances is the reason why they're losing. So, they're losing. I'm not going to call them good teams, but they're not devoid of talent. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because these teams are going to have high draft picks if the losing continues. It's going to be tough for either one of them to make the playoffs. They're going to have to win out and then hope for dominoes to fall their way. So, right now they're on the outside looking in, and they're either going to get a real high draft pick or they're going to be picking mid-round, in which these teams are not built like a losing team. So the talent that they're going to add is going to make these teams substantially better. I just wanted to, these teams are basically going to be adding talent to contending rosters. Let's go to 7, where I got the Steelers. This team, the Steelers should be at 4, but the defense they have. However, the offense is not ready yet. And the defense is good, but it's not good enough to carry this offense in the playoffs to a championship. Now, at 1, I have the Chiefs, in which the Lions are hotter than the Chiefs. They both have the same record. And the Chiefs have been winning ugly, but the Chiefs have been winning through adversity. And that says a lot for a team that wins through adversity, because that's what you're going to need to do to win the championship. Sometimes things fall your way in the playoffs. The matchups fall your way. The teams that you play are not up to par. So sometimes that it does work out that way. But most of the time, you got to win through adversity. And the Chiefs have shown they could do that. On top of that, they win in situational football. And that's really what football comes down to, situations. And it's like when these situations happen, it's like everybody on the Chiefs is on the same page to know what the situation is and how this team is going to overcome the situation. They've been doing that since they beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So that's why I got to where they are right now. On top of that, they have Pat Mahomes, who's the best quarterback in the league right now. And that's why I got them over the Lions, even though the Lions have been harder than the Chiefs right now. All right, let's transition to the NBA power rankings, in which the 76ers, like, it's done for these teams that's building, let's say, trying to build a championship through free agency. And what I mean by that is getting superstar players through free agency to bolster your roster. Like, it doesn't work like that anymore. What's going on with the 76ers is evident of that. Like, of course, you got the Joel Embiid situation. Like, if he wasn't playing through training camp, that's going to impact chemistry, because even though you brought in Paul George, it's somewhat a different team than it was last year. So you need to build chemistry with these guys. And Paul George, if he wasn't playing in training camp as well, because he didn't start the year off either, like, all of that impacts chemistry. But with them only winning 3 games so far, like, I don't think nobody could have saw that coming. You could have said, nah, they're not going to win the championship just because they got Paul George, but I don't think nobody saw them start the year off how they are right now. It doesn't look like they're going to get it turned around anytime soon. I still think this team could make the playoffs, but I think when you talk about those teams at the top of the East and not Golden State, when you talk about those teams at the top of the East, the Cavaliers and the Magic and the Celtics, of course, they're not competing with those teams. They're no way near competing with those teams as of right now, and they're not showing signs of turning around anytime soon. I hope they do, because I like the young kid, Maxey. He's a very good talent, and he keeps getting better. He's starting to develop leadership skills. I think Philly is looking forward to building through Maxey in the future, but right now this team is struggling. All right. Let's talk about the number 18 team, the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama, the alien. Like, this dude, once he gets it, it's lights out for the league. Cancel Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is a monster. And I wouldn't really talk about Stephon Castle, the point guard for UConn that they drafted. Like, this dude rocking with Wembanyama, like, he's going to learn from Chris Paul. Like, Chris Paul was good for SGA. We see how he's rocking. This dude Castle, like, he is built. He is the prototypical modern day point guard. Big vision, defense. He's still developing offense, even though he's an adequate offensive player right now. It's still developing, but you could see he has a foundation to develop it to something special. And the Spurs got a bright future with Castle and Wembanyama. Let's go to the number 10 team, the Knicks. The Knicks, prior to the season starting, I had the Knicks as a title contender, because Jalen Brunson is my guy, man. This dude can hoop, man. Like, he's one of a kind. I haven't seen a point guard at his size that has a dominant post game that even post players can't defend. Like, this dude is a problem. He got a handle. When I saw last year or the year before, when I saw the Knicks versus the Heat, you had to be a special player to play one-on-one against that Miami Heat team. And Jalen Brunson showed up every game for the Knicks. He wasn't able to overcome Jimmy Butler in the Heat that year. The Knicks was not as talented as they was the past year. And right now, they lack chemistry right now. Mikal Bridges, which is one of the reasons why him and OG Anunoby rocking with Jalen Brunson and Hart was one of the reasons why I felt that this team could compete with a team like a Celtics. You just needed a big man. They went out and got Karl Anthony Towns, and Karl Anthony Towns is not the big that the Knicks need. They should be getting Mitchell Robinson back in January, I believe. If not, they're going to need a big an anchor for their defense, because Karl Anthony Towns ain't it. He's a good offensive player, but there's one more thing that this team needs to do, and that's stop trying to make it a two-man team with Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. They need to give Jalen Brunson the ball, let him do what he want to do, and everybody else fall in place. I believe that's what you're going to see once the playoffs come. I think right now, Jalen Brunson is falling back a little bit so that the other guys, Bridges and Towns, could get acclimated. But this team is going to take off when Brunson start taking over, all right? The next team I want to talk about today is the number 3 team, the Golden State Warriors. Draymond Green said, I can't remember what podcast. He might have been on his own podcast, but he said, don't let us win another championship. You know why Draymond Green said that? This dude has been winning championships throughout his career, a vital part of a championship team. The reason why he said that is because I believe Draymond believes that they have a championship roster, and they're built like the 2016 Golden State Warriors, which is my favorite version of the Warriors, even though they didn't win it, even though I'm a LeBron fan, and, you know, I'm glad LeBron won it. But that team was it was harder to guard, in my opinion, than the KD Warriors. KD Warriors just overwhelmed you with talent. Strategically, the 2016 Warriors team was better, in my opinion, strategically, because if you didn't stay connected to them, you had no chance. And that just speaks to the chess pieces, you know, the game within a game. With the Kevin Durant Golden State Warriors, you know, it's just overwhelming talent. You know, that's two different things. And I think this Warriors team is like those 2000 and even the 2022 Warriors that won the championship. It just they're deep. They have players that know their role, and you got an extremely talented defensive player in Draymond Green, and the best shooter of all time in Stephen Curry. So yeah, you better watch out for these guys. All right, so thanks for rocking out with your boy on the inaugural episode of the Sideline Sizzle podcast. Let me know what you think. Do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe button. Rock with your boy, man.